Watch out, guys. She's a squirter. Oh, oh. We have some ethanol that has been sitting in these guys since that date you see right there, 10/8/22. So we're going to pull these lids off and see exactly what's going on. These are aluminum little containers, and I scratched the part in the bottom to see what kind of effect this ethanol will have. This is the erase, and over there is the pump stuff. So we will see this at the very end of the video. So stay tuned to the end and we'll see how this stuff looks. We got the 400 right here, and it's been sitting, let me show you how long it's been sitting. So it's been sitting ever since I made this last video. I went to the track, ran it, came back, parked it. Only thing I've been doing is just starting it up like every couple of weeks and letting it get to 170 and shutting it off. So I figured it'd be a good time to take the bowls off and then see if we can see any evidence of corrosion in this guy. There is evidence on these guys right here. You see that? So the carb bolts are having some evidence of corrosion, and they've done this in the past. So we're going to replace these. Let me show you what I'm going to replace them with. We're going to replace them with these nice stainless steel ARP carburetor bolts. Look at that. Bolt screws, whatever you want to call them. They look like bolts to me. These guys will not have the same effect as the ones down there. They're so pretty. Alright, so you guys are seeing this in real time. Last one. Here comes the news. Let's see. Oh, look at that. It looks pretty damn good to me, guys. Yeah, that looks good too. We'll investigate a little more. Then we'll do the back after we investigate this the front. Okay, so to save time, I went ahead and disassembled everything so we can have a closer look. Oh, and by the way, the gaskets that ATM gives you, and these things are the bomb. I still put like a little bit of limb saver, which is a wax, or chapstick, which is a wax, and put it on there just to make sure it doesn't stick. And I've never had these stick by doing that. I'm not sure if they stick otherwise. They might not stick, but I just do that anyways. Also put it on these guys, and everything disassembled just perfectly easy, so we're gonna keep using that. So the purpose of pulling off this diaphragm right here, this is the 50cc accelerator pump, is to see if it's dried out at all. And of course, this is a Jegs one. And if you're wondering what the part number is on these Jegs 50cc diaphragms right here, 50cc accelerator pump diaphragms, there you go. You see it says alcohol and E85 compatible, and they are. They're really good. And this guy just feels excellent. Now, a lot of guys, when they take these apart for the winter, they drain everything. But what I've learned about, if you drain that stuff, don't leave fuel in there, and you don't either spray WD-40 in it or whatnot, these will definitely dry out over time. That is the quickest way to dry these out. And this one's a different material in here. It's that black material. I'm not sure the exact what kind of material it is. All I know is that the black material, when these guys are the black accelerator pumps, it dries out twice as fast as these guys right here. So what usually happens is these will dry out and then your accelerator pump won't open that much anymore. So keeping this guy in good working shape or just replacing it, at the end of each season is a must for this guy. And the way you can check to see if this guy is torn, usually they don't tear, they'll just get super hard where you can't even hardly push them in. That's what happens to this material right here. So this guy still feels good. Nice and easy to push in, so I'm not gonna worry about it. And the way you kind of check this, instead of putting your lips up to this and breathing in, I'll show you a little trick. Just push this down, put your finger here, now watch it. Hear it, and went up. Hear that? That way you know nothing's ruptured. You don't got to stick your lips to this and suck in like gas or whatever. So that seems just fine also. I don't see any evidence of anything corroding in here. These guys maybe a little bit because these are steel balls. So these guys have a little bit of that evidence. But it's just right around these guys right here. But everything else looks absolutely fine. I don't see anything. So we're gonna, like I said, these are the ones that sit in the bottom of the fuel. So when that sits in the fuel, if anything is gonna start, corroding or oxidizing, whatever you want to call it, it's gonna be the stuff that sits in the fuel the entire time, which is this guy right here. And this right here, this carburetor from ATM, was the bottom of the line one they had. They had better ones, billet ones that probably won't have these same issues. But it's just because it's the bottom of the line doesn't mean that it's a bad carb. It's actually been an excellent carb for the money. And there's no reason, in my opinion, unless you have like some badass billet stuff, that a E85 carburetor should be $1,000+. That is just the industry marking it up, trying to take advantage of the customers. Because really, this stuff, it's really just a carburetor. There's nothing really different about it. These guys aren't that expensive. It's still the same power valves. Don't let people like, say all this stuff in here is completely different, because it's really not. It's just a couple of things. And mainly the big differences is your accelerator pump, the holes are bigger. These have smaller emulsion right here for this guy right here. Even the idle air bleeds, they're a little smaller, and that's just to get a little more fuel in there. And basically that works is, think of a soda bottle, you shake it up. The bigger the air, the bigger the holes in here, the more air. But fuel sits in here, so it's only going to happen right around here where you're going to get that. Unless your fuel's dropping down here, that's not going to affect your main wells with the emulsion right there. So that's just how that works. And also, in E85, your boosters right here, these holes can be larger. And this isn't anything like that's proprietary, guys. Any alcohol carb is set up kind of that way. And E85 just made it a little different. It shouldn't be rocket science. People shouldn't say that it's so freaking hard, because it's really not. So this all looks pretty good. The only thing that worries me is, if you look right here, these guys, the ones that come with ATM, is slightly longer. And also, their gaskets are too big. They won't fit over this. So I do have some ones that I have laying around, and these guys will fit over here. Plus, they're thinner than the one ATM has right here. So we'll see how that works. Let me go ahead and put this guy back together, and we'll see how far this goes in to make sure that these will work. Yeah, I'm not sure if I feel comfortable rocking that. Look at that. Look at the difference in thread engagement. That is huge. Huge, huge. I guess I'll screw it on there and see how it feels, but I don't know. I'll have to call up Doug over there and see if he has any stainless steel carburetor bolts that he can supply me, because these ARPs are damn sure not long enough, in my opinion. All right, so for comparison, this is out another Holly. You see, this one's anodized, so it won't do that. But it is the same length as the ARP. But this one right here is definitely longer than all of them, which I do like. I'm going to try these. You just got to be very careful about how much torque you put on those. You don't want to, that's why you'll see carburetors, people pull out, the main body threads all the time, because they just over tighten them. These guys just need to be just slightly cinched down there, guys. They don't need to be like super tight. And that is definitely why they're ripped out. So I'm going to try these, but I'm also going to call ATM and see if they have any ones like this that are stainless steel or whatnot. So we're all out of lip saver, which is what you put on bows, which is just a wax. So we're going to have to resort to chapstick. Like I said, I just put just a tiny bit of this stuff on here and just give it a quick little film on that side and this side, just so when I go to unassemble it, this guy doesn't stick. So it doesn't take much. It's a tiny little bit, guys. Put a little right here. Coat it. You need your fingers to smear it in. All you got to do. All it takes is a really thin coat. And it's guaranteed not to stick. Mine never has. Maybe you'll be the unfortunate one that if it sticks, you're going to call me up like, man, mine stuck. Did exactly what you said. Well, maybe. Mine doesn't. So I don't know what your problem is. Another thing that'll help you out from stripping these guys is just take a little bit of anti-seize and just go boop. It's a tiny little bit on the end. That's all you need. You don't need a lot because it'll come all out all over the place. You need just enough to put up in her so she lubed up. Nobody likes some dry-ish, right? Need it to be lubed, baby. So we'll just do that to the rest of those. We'll put the front on. I usually start with the upper right. Let me get something right here. All right. And then I crisscross. Usually how I do it. Yep, it's good. And I don't tighten them all down until they're up in there. Like so. Feels like there's pretty good thread engagement, just like a regular Holley. I do like them longer. I don't think the dimensions on this is really much different. Once I get them tight, I'll pull out one and we'll see the thread engagement here. You can see I'm holding it like this. See what I'm saying? This prevents you from getting it too tight. Okay, it's real easy. Over tighten these fuckers. It's feeling good. That feels good. All right, so let's take this one off. Let's see exactly how much thread engagement it looks like. We got so about that much. I mean, that should be sufficient. Just be careful when you tighten this down. Like I said before, I'll say it again. Just be careful. Don't go monkeying around and just hit her hard. You might bottom out, send her to the hospital. Yep. I think that'll be good. And man, don't those ARP bolts look pretty though? So now, oh shit, we're gonna inspect the back. I have a sneaky suspicion that we're gonna see a lot of the same stuff that we saw on the front. That would just be my guess. So of course on the rear, it's a lot of the same story. We won't go into it too much, except for the power valve. Since it's not anodized, you see a little bit of stuff going on right there. But this is probably something you gotta look out for. I do see that some of the spots that where it was anodized on the little hinge right here that bolts to the back of your bowl. I do see a little spot in there. Come on, camera, gonna get in there? Right in here, that it looks like it's doing a little bit of eating away of stuff, or just getting a little bit of that white powder on there. But nothing alarming, nothing horrible looking that's going to affect how it runs. You know, of course, the other screw that came out the bowl is in the bag already because I just drained it in the beginning. But this one has a little bit of stuff right here. So like we're going to replace them with stainless steel stuff to fix that. Now it'd be really slick. You know, it would be worth $1,000 or more if they made a carburetor completely stainless steel for E85 or alcohol. That way you wouldn't have to worry about any of that shit, at least I think. That'd be badass. It'd be very expensive though, but badass. So let me go ahead and throw this together. These PTF lines are so stiff that it's hard to put them on and pull us off. So I always just take it off because it makes life 10 times easier. I was surprised that Billy the kid, or I guess Bill the adult now, I'm surprised that his S10 running methanol, that shit, he hasn't ran TFE yet. And if everything went as expected, hopefully we have no leaks. New thing. New thing. New thing. See, one trick is you may have fuel in the bowls, but you don't have it in the diaphragm. So you got to do this until you see. Yep, now we got it in that front. Front. Yep. And now let's do it to the back. There we go. And we'll start her up. Chippity choppity, chippity choppity. Okay, we are at 170. It's important that you do that. You run my vacuum pump, especially when it's cold outside. Whenever you start it up, you want to run it to 170, because if you don't, then you'll have a bunch of condensation in the valve covers and you'll get milky oil just because of all the condensation that E85 causes inside your motor because it runs so much cooler. But the good thing about a vacuum pump is it'll suck all that moisture out. So that's why I have this, and it works great. My oil never looks bad at all. Okay, as promised, we have some E85 that has been sitting since this date. A lot of it is evaporated out. That's the only thing I can see that's affected so far. This one, you'll see a little bit of stuff in the bottom. That is, the stuff in the bottom is because I drained it from my line in the back, so a little bit of dirt got on there. That is not oxidation or anything from it. That was in it since day one, because I was pulling off the lines and I was just checking the filter, so I was catching the last with that anyways, because I figured, hey, I might as well use this as a sample. So this is pump E85, and this is E85R I dumped directly out of the can. So we can see both of them. And if there is a hole, let it vent the atmosphere. And like I said, this thing is mainly, it's just, a lot of it's evaporated out. So, absolutely nothing so far. You see that part where I scratched it right there at the bottom? You can see that? Let me pull the camera off so you get a better look. So far, I think everything's going to evaporate out before it actually does any corrosion to the bottom of this can. These are aluminum cans, but they're coated in some type of plastic. So what I did was just, basically, I just scratched the plastic off so it has something to eat at. And it's not really doing much at all. So this is the E85R. It is just evaporating. I might just go ahead and seal it, because we have definitely got enough moisture in there over the past couple of months. And if I don't put anything on top of this, I think it's just going to evaporate out before our experiment is over. And here we have the pump E85. It has been in there since the same date. And maybe that's a little bit of moisture right there. Can you guys see that? At the very, very top, maybe that's a little bit, but it's ever so slight. This one has less evaporation, possibly because it has less ethanol in it percentage than the E85R. I don't know. Like I said, that stuff in there is just crap that came off the line, so ignore that. And you can see right there the scratches. Nothing. So this one will leave vented for a little longer. But this guy right here, I'm gonna go ahead and put some tape over these holes that I have in there. Because if not, I just think it's gonna be completely evaporated out before anything happens. So there we go. So far, since that date, absolutely nothing. Well, that is it, guys. Near the end of the winter, whenever we take this guy back out, I still need to put a cage in, of course, but I'm gonna get most of this ethanol out, and then I'm gonna check the filters one more time before I do anything. And this year we're doing things different. Instead of running ethanol in the enrichment, we're gonna run C16 on this side and then pump ethanol on this side. Of course, I have to creep up on that tune-up. I'll probably take it to the dyno again to make sure everything looks good. Hopefully I don't burn it up, but that's what we're doing. Till next time, guys, peace.